Welcome back to some more history, and most of you may have at least heard of this character or seen her through other fighting game series like me and wanted to learn what's actually going on with the succubus. Also like me, you might like and be somewhat surprised by what you learn about Morrigan, as I came to realize that she's a lot more than what she seems. Welcome to the history of Morrigan Aensland. How she was created. Morrigan was created by Alex Jimenez, Capcom USA producer, and the Capcom Japan design team in 1994 for Darkstalkers, the Night Warriors. The designers developed the plot for the first game around simple stories of Morrigan and Dimitri, who both started out as vampires. In early development, the team decided to have two female characters, a Catwoman and a vampire, who later turned into Felicia and Morrigan, but with flipped roles. Felicia was going to be the sexier character, while Morrigan started out more cutesy, which, as the designs evolved, Morrigan became a little more masculine, inspired by Go Nagai's Devilman Lady. Eventually, Alex Jimenez decided to make her a succubus, which he actually had to explain to the Japanese design team what that was, as they already had a vampire with Dimitri, and her design started to lean more towards sexy, which changed how Felicia turned out with a switch in roles. Name, meaning. I really like the meaning associated with her name because it reminds me of another game series I like, .hack. She is named after the Morrigan, an Irish mythological goddess whose name translates to Great Queen. The Morrigan is usually associated with war and fate. Appearing as a crow, she incites warriors to battle and can help bring about victory over their enemies. Morrigan's last name, Aensland, is a non-existent surname in any Gaelic language, and many assume that it's a derivative or an alternate spelling by Capcom of the Scottish surname Ainsley, due to the actual Darkstalker character originating from Scotland in the lore. Morrigan's look. As many may know, Morrigan has had pretty much the same design throughout her entire time in video games, with her iconic sleeveless black bustier-like top and purple nylon leggings emblazoned with bat patterns. What people may not know is that she was actually in the Guinness World Records Gamer Edition for most reused character sprite in a fighting game due to her 10 appearances between 1994 and 2001 of the same sprite. The first time she received an updated character model was in 2008's Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, giving her an actual 3D model for the first time. Personality. Some describe her as confident, conceited, playful, and pretty damn sexual, speaking mostly with suggestive double entendres, but that isn't really a big surprise due to the fact that she's a succubus. The part that is surprising is that even though she's a literal demon of the Makai realm, she isn't pure evil. She does a lot of things to feed her wants, but she's also willingly helped for the greater good many times. Her lineage is even different from most succubus and doesn't need to absorb the spirit of the person or even take their life. The Aensland sect of succubi can actually feed off stimulation created from their own brains, and if they are ever deprived of that for one reason or another, they can feed on the same energy through people's dreams, which doesn't actually hurt the victim, whose only reaction is the feeling that their dream has been taken away. Abilities. Morrigan actually has a good couple abilities at her disposal. Kind of like Bayonetta, her outfit also doubles as something she can use to attack her enemies. In this case, her outfit is actually made of bats. Her wings can also transform into bats, as well as change into spikes, blades, drills, a jetpack, and even a laser cannon. She can willingly teleport, shoot magical energy, and can split into two of herself. She has a signature move called the Kiss of Death, which with one kiss can completely drain the energy of her victim. Some crazy things she's done is perform the Kiss of Death on Tyron, who doesn't even have a physical form, and reduce him to bones, as well as come in contact with Fisherman, whose body is completely made out of souls. Games she's been in. Her debut was in Darkstalkers: The Night Warriors for arcade, PlayStation, and later on PSN in 1994. Her next game was Night Warriors: Darkstalkers Revenge for arcade and Sega Saturn in 1995. Vampire Savior: The Lord of the Vampire, otherwise known as Darkstalkers 3, came out in 1997 for arcade, Sega Saturn, PlayStation, and PSN. Both Vampire Hunter 2 and Vampire Savior 2 also came out simultaneously in 1997 for arcades, but were later featured in the anthology Vampire Darkstalkers Collection. Vampire Chronicle for matching service for Dreamcast and PSP came out in 2000. The final original Darkstalkers game was Darkstalkers Chronicle: The Chaos Tower, and that came out in 2004 for PSP. She's been on a whole mess of other games, so get ready. Going in order of year, she's been in Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, Marvel vs. Capcom Clash of Superheroes, Super Gem Fighter Mini Mix, SNK vs. Capcom Card Fighters Clash, SNK vs. Capcom Match of the Millennium, Gunbird 2, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes, Capcom vs. SNK Millennium Fight 2000 Pro, SNK vs. Capcom Card Fighters 2, Capcom vs. SNK 2 Mark of the Millennium 2001, Namco x Capcom, SNK vs. Capcom Card Fighters DS, Cross Edge, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom Ultimate All-Stars, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Fate of Two Worlds, Onimusha Soul, Project X Zone, Mina to Akashic Heroes, Mina to Capcom All-Stars, Street Fighter X All Capcom, Project X Zone 2, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Puzzle Fighter, and finally Tekken. Voice actors. Alright, we finally made it to the voice actors, and Morrigan has had 9 so far. Her first Japanese voice actor, Yayoi Chinguji, known for doing most of the original Darkstalkers games and also for having done the voices of the Great Fairy and Kome and Kotake in the Legend of Zelda series. Her next VA, Rie Tanaka, did some of the newer games starting with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, known for Mitsuru in Persona 3, Lisa in Genshin Impact, and Lacus in Mobile Suit Gundam Seed. Her third Japanese VA was Rei Sakuma for the Japanese animated series, some drama CDs, and Gunbird 2. Kiniko Inoue and Yumi Toma are also known for voicing her in some of the other drama CDs. Her English VAs are Saffron Henderson for the American animated series, Kathleen Barr for the Japanese animated series, Siobhan Flynn for the Marvel vs. Capcom games starting with 3 and Tekken, and the last VA is Aaron Fitzgerald for Cross Edge. In order, they are also known for voicing Kid Goku from Dragon Ball, Wheezy in Dragon Tales, Yumiko in Hellsing Ultimate, and finally Chie in Persona 4. Extra info. Morrigan was actually the first Darkstalkers character to show up in a different fighting game series, that being Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Morrigan's name, coming from the Morrigan, actually goes deeper in another Capcom game, Devil May Cry 3, due to the character of Nevin, which is a Japanese transliteration of Nemain, which the Morrigan can also be described as a trio of sisters called the Three Morrigana, Bob, Maha, and Nemain. This all just means that the character was a small reference with the power to manipulate bats. Apparently, many Morrigan adaptations are very inaccurate, including the USA cartoon, manga, and the Udon comics, who maybe didn't research the character and just judged the book by its cover, making Morrigan your stereotypical succubus, evil, and stealing human life for her own. Crazily enough, Morrigan has heavily impacted Japanese culture when she was introduced in 1994, as she was the first notable succubus to be introduced in Japanese media. This revolutionized erotic Japanese productions as she became the paradigm to base succubus off of when the succubus lore started to become more widespread throughout Japan. Whew! As you just learned, there was a lot that went into creating the character, and a lot that the character's been used for since 1994. These videos are really fun to make, and the concept is really growing on me, because I've been wanting to do some quick toe dipping into other series and learn bits and pieces of stuff while I'm learning about the characters, so I'm just having a great time. With that said, there will be a small hiatus after the next one due to a special kind of month I have planned for April, which will be talked about next video coming out tomorrow, so keep a lookout for that. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next video.